Brussels to Sarajevo, Warsaw to London, Stockholm to Madrid, Budapest to Amsterdam, Rome to Vienna, Strasbourg to Tirana, Berlin to Kiev. From all over Europe, young Muslims come together to learn from each other, empower each other, unite our voices, combine our strength, know and protect our rights.
Salam and welcome. This is Melisa Žigonja-Peljto from Sarajevo. I'll be hosting today's session with an exciting lineup of guest speakers. FEMYSOnow is a live stream and podcast series by FEMYSO. We will be live on both YouTube and Facebook. FEMYSO is the Forum of European Muslim Youth and Student Organization, and the 2021 marks our 25th anniversary. This year, on July 11th, we have marked 26th anniversary of Srebrenica genocide, where more than 8,000 men and boys were killed in UN-declared safe area under UN protection. United Nations Protection Force Dutch bad soldiers failed to prevent the town's capture and subsequent massacre. Dutch state was found liable in the Dutch Supreme Court and in the Hague District Court for failing to do enough more to prevent more than 300 of deaths. Until this day, Serbia didn't officially recognize the crime in Srebrenica's genocide, as it was declared by international criminal tribunal. We have some communication issues. Can you hear me? Is everything okay? Can my guests hear me? Okay, thank you. As it was declared, as I said, International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia and International Court of Justice. Former Bosnian Serb leader and the first president of Republika Srpska, Radovan Karadzic, was found guilty of genocide in Srebrenica, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and serves life imprisonment. Butcher of Bosnia, former Bosnian Serb commander Ratko Mladic, has lost his appeal against 2017 conviction for genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity, and now serves life imprisonment too. Bosnia and Herzegovina's 26 years after the aggression, social, political, and economic progress is at a dead end. Many claim that Bosnia and Herzegovina is made to be unmanageable to succeed, sentenced to fail through governmental and institutional sabotage. Today, we will mark the anniversary of Srebrenica genocide and pay tribute and respect to the killed, exiled, abused, but also to those who are left behind and live with the loss, trauma, and difficulties of life, where actually they meet the perpetrators of all crimes almost every day. I want to highlight the admiration I feel for the pacifist, non-violent response and willingness to coexist after everything they have experienced. Guest speakers today with me are Dr. Sedad Dedic, professor at University of Zenica and member of FEMYSO steering committee, speaking from Zenica today. Assalamu alaikum and welcome.
Alaikum salam. Thank you for your hosting. And thank you, FEMYSO, for organizing this important meeting.
Yes, welcome. And İsmail Cidic, who is president of Bosnian Advocacy Center, a Dedic University alumnus. He is scholar of foreign policy, international relations, speaking from Durham, North Carolina, USA. Assalamu alaikum and welcome.
Alaikum salam, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have a discussion with the two of you. I will start with Dr. Sedad. Even though if we were children, both of us, me and you, we were children, but we have witnessed the atrocities that Bosnian people and we have experienced during the war. And very much we felt the consequences of living in post-conflict and post-genocide environment and society. I would like to shortly ask you about the memories from your period, from that period, and of course after the war, and how did that affect you as a young person? How did it help you actually, that negative environment, how did it help you to develop in such a successful person as you are right now?
Thank you for that question. So it was destiny that we experienced as children, war, genocide, aggression.
Yes.
To be clear, as a children, maybe in those times we didn't aware enough what is happening, but the situation what we could feel is oppression, is fear, is to be clear after when we think about that it's reality of the life, and that there are always danger circumstances what can attack to your life, to your family, and that in the real life survive and can and could overcome just the ones who has enough capacity, enough strength. That learned us that we have to be strong. What does it mean, strong? Because we found that only if you can fight for your rights, even when we are talking about basic rights, like it is your life, it is your freedom, etc., is that you need to get enough knowledge, enough communication in the world, because even as a child we found that we as a Bosnians, as Europeans, as Muslims, it was very important that we get understanding and support from different parts of the Muslim world, from some Western countries. Of course, it was late in most cases, unfortunately. But what I want to say, even you as a young child, you are in these kind of circumstances. It's happening that you are growing up faster, that you are getting experience, and that even as very young, you are starting to think about very important, crucial things for your country, for your people, for world. And I found in my experience in after time with different communication with some young people my age from different countries who didn't experience war. They were their area of interest very often were something not so much crucial, because they were children still. They didn't have this kind of experience what press you to think to faster, to grow up faster, to think about much what is important, what is not important, because you are finding that you have don't have enough time. Enough time. What does it mean? It means when you have freedom, when you have peace. It means that you have to use that time to organize you, to organize your family, to organize your people, to organize your communication, to make you, as I said at the beginning, to make you strong in every part of human understanding, as I said, in
Yes.
education, economy, and communication, of course, in partnership with good people, good networks, and of course, FEMYSO. Why I am spending a lot of time in communication with FEMYSO, because I understand as a child who survived war and who survived in country where happened the genocide, that it's very important to have network with people who can communicate in every moment. To be clear, we very often in public space forget that what was very important for us, that communications at international level, especially with some Muslim scholars, what had first president of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Alija Izetbegović, that kind of communication were very crucial for surviving, for presenting truth, what is happening in Bosnia, who is aggressor, who is a victim, etc. So one more time, I can say thank you, FEMYSO, for organizing this meeting to remind about these important questions, and to remind all people that freedom and space, if you have it, you have to use it very fast, very hard, because that we understand, we from Bosnia and Herzegovina understand very well, if you don't use that time and you can to work on your capacities, it will very easy come to the moment when you will see problem. You know, it was for last war, last genocide was 10 genocide for Bosnian people, but it's a very big difference because it's first time that criminals who did genocide are punished, and that we have in international court decisions about genocide. 9 genocide before, there is no documents, enough documents, there is no law decision. Even the ones who did genocide before, even they were getting some awards from the different regimes. So it is now very big important difference. There are international court decisions, and a lot of the criminals are punished, and it is a warning. Srebrenica for Europe. Why Srebrenica is important and Bosnia and Herzegovina is important to Europe? Because it is message that people have to, especially Muslims in Europe, have to be aware of danger of growing up anti-Islamic promotion, Islamophobia, etc., because it is kind of preparation for some genocide, because that somebody can do genocide, you know, he has to be prepared in his head that it's okay, that it is reality what you are getting when you are growing up in this kind of circumstances.
Yes, definitely. I just want to jump in quickly. That genocide isn't a process that happens. It is not an act, it's a process. So that it's really important to emphasize all the stages of genocide. But let me just to address to İsmail quickly, because İsmail, you were born after the genocide and lived through data and consequences of divided society. As Sedad said, the difficult times actually create a great personality and very strong individuals and very exceptional leaders. But I want to ask you, did you have the opportunity to discuss genocide in Srebrenica with your peers, especially with your Serb peers? And what is their position? How do they see Bosnia and Herzegovina? What is their position on genocide? And how do they see Bosnia and Herzegovina in future and our coexistence here?
I would also like to thank FEMYSO and its member organizations for continuously marking the Bosnian genocide. That's a very good question, Melisa, and we need to approach it from different perspective. So the aggression, genocide, is probably the most discussed topic in Bosnia and Herzegovina overall. Obviously, there are people who do not want to discuss it for many reasons, which I think is a mistake, and want to rather focus on future. My opinion is that we cannot have a successful future without properly understanding our past. But still, overall, I think that it's still the most discussed topic in the country. When it comes to my discussions with my Serb peers, obviously I had many of them, and I worked with some of them, especially during my high school education. Unfortunately, they are, to me at least, the most important reminder that genocide, the future aggression against our country, can happen again, can be repeated. They grew up, and they're growing up, the post-war generations, the Republika Srpska, in the system that sees genocide as a public good. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. So think about where some of them grow up, literally grow up. They grew up in streets named after war criminals. They attend schools named after war criminals. In the schools, they learn from the books that glorify the war criminals. When they are 18 and when they're able to vote, they vote for genocide deniers, and basically the exact same people wanted Bosnia to be removed from the world map. So to me, the vast majority of my Serb peers are actually the biggest reminder for potential issues that we may have in the future too. But here I also want to say that there's still those who think that what happened was genocide among them. But unfortunately, they're a tiny voice. They are not loud. They can be loud because once they say such things, they're being cast out from their societies, they're being shut down, and often they need to leave their hometowns and Bosnia and Herzegovina overall. So I think it's very important to talk about this, and it's very important to discuss such topics. As I said, without proper understanding of what happened in the past, we cannot have a successful future.
Yes, definitely. The thing that Sedad mentioned about this discrimination, dehumanization, hate speech, formation of hate groups, actually those are all the stages of genocide. We cannot, as I said previously, it's not an act, it's a process. So wherever we can see that we have such processes happening, like discrimination, we really need to be careful and really challenge discrimination, hatred, tyranny wherever we see it, because we have learned from our experience that those things can lead to genocide, and that's we have all seen what consequences does it leave actually to the society and later to development of future and everything. So I would like to ask you, Sedad, since you come from education, you're a professor at university, I would like to ask for your opinion about what kind of education do we need to prevent the future genocides here and everywhere else, because it's not internal problem issue, because we said after Holocaust never again, and then it happened in Europe really in a short amount of time. So what kind of education should we have? How should we address to future generations? How should we deal with perpetrators to avoid such atrocities to happen in future in Bosnia and anywhere else, as I said?
You know, the reality for us and for everybody is that if you want to success, if you want to survive, if you want to get anything in every area of life, you have to be strong. The real world understand and accept and respect only the ones who are strong. All other things coming after. So how to be strong is to work on your education, to promote important values, to connect with good people, not only Muslims, but with all good people, with people there is much more good people in the world, but that bad people are louder. What is important not to forget for our audience, you were mentioning a few times the stage of genocide.
Yes.
You know, legal science knows that denial of genocide is the last phase of the commitment of genocide. Unfortunately, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, these days, responsible person for genocide put to the next phase. These days in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbian political representatives promote criminals who realized genocide. You know, what does it mean? It means, as İsmail very precise said, that unfortunately we have a new generation who were educated with promotion genocide as something normal. What is important too when we are talking about the genocide and what happened in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in Srebrenica didn't happen tragedy, didn't happen crime. In Srebrenica happened genocide. It is very important always to say and to know. When we have completed this important phase of international law, this decision, what we can think as a Bosniaks, I think that we as a Bosniak, that it's our civilization obligation is to be aware of the genocide and the dangers that have recently been committed to us Bosniaks, and in cooperation with the responsible representatives of the Jewish community and the other communities that survived genocide in the World War II and other time, together with all other good people, nowhere and never again, precisely through the one establishment and to establish one institute for the prevention of genocide in the world. As you said, it was noted that it will not happen again, but it happened, and it will happen again. So we as survivors, as the people, have to be proactive on a way to promote and to make a cooperation in the world with other groups. What is the crucial important that we have these legal documents about genocide, what happened. You know, international legal arguments have special weight and importance because the fact that such arguments cannot be seriously questioned in any part of the world. One of the aims of the judgments, what happened for genocides in Bosnia, must be that the force and of the internationally accepted legal argument set forth in this work in Europe and in the other parts of the world in the future weakness and arguments of force in humanity, immorality, which caused the evil that stained the face. So we have to use instruments, what we have, what we can use. It's law, it is public space, it is politics, but the strongest argument in the modern world is law, law decision, etc. So that what is very important, what that we have in Bosnia is a law for
to prevent
the
genocide.
persons, yes, who are denying genocide. Yes,
Mhm.
it's very important to get that law, to promote that law, because in the same time we know when you are making some problems to Jewish people in Europe, it is anti-Semitism, and there is low position of anti-Semitism. There is a punishment for that. And when you are making genocide, killing Muslims, making problems to Muslims, it is some Islamophobia, phobia. You know, that word is wrong word. That word is not good word. So it's anti-Muslim acting. It is acting against humanity, against law, etc. So to underline that this word Islamophobia is absolutely wrong word.
Yeah. Well, I would like to quote something that İsmail wrote. He wrote this Duke Chronicle. Genocide, it seems, gives a high return on investment. The establishment and legalization of Republika Srpska set a precedent in international politics and set a strong message to aspiring war criminals that if they play their cards right, a selected few may suffer jail, but larger ambitions can be accomplished. Maybe this can be observed as a form of reward from international community. What is the impact of a genocide in local communities, Bosnia, regarding this? Because what is the message that locals got from this message, but diaspora too?
So that specific paragraph, as you will mention, it's not only about the potential future war criminals abroad, but also for the local population, for the local Serb population. To them, they see it really as a reward. They fought against Bosniaks to establish their territory, and they didn't care what kind of crimes would they commit during that process, even though we see it legally it is a genocide. But also in terms of a wider picture, abroad, many war criminals see that as something that, yes, maybe I will end up in jail one day, but I will at least have a legacy that will be celebrated. If we look at Ratko Mladic and Radovan Karadzic, for example, yes, they ended up in jail and they will spend the rest of their lives there, but they continue to be celebrated across Republika Srpska and across the mainstream Serbian world. Mm-hmm. That's an unfortunate case, and we should be doing much more to counter that narrative. But at the same time, this is a very important point to mention. In 1945, the Allied forces occupied Germany and kept their military presence until Nazism was defeated. So they rewrote the school books, they redesigned the school curricula, they convicted the vast majority of major Nazi officials and officers. And they left Germany only once they accomplished that huge goal. Obviously, such evils as Nazism and fascism cannot be defeated fully, but they accomplished a huge goal nevertheless. In 1995, the Western Allies, those exact Western Allies that occupied Germany in 1945 and fought against Nazism and fascism, they locked Bosnian delegation along two other delegations that wanted Bosnia to be removed from the world map, and they forced our delegation to accept the Serb genocidal project in our country's constitution. Let me repeat this once again. They locked our delegation and forced our delegation to accept the Serb genocidal project in our constitution. In 2021, 26 years after the Dayton Peace Agreement was signed, we still cannot openly say that we want that Serb genocidal project to be abolished, just as the Nazism, the Nazi Germany project was abolished as well many decades ago. So we see unfortunately that paradox, and we need to have a specific vision, specific goals, how to achieve and how to fight against such narrative and such of such projects. And unfortunately, what I say can cause me or anybody else who mentioned the same things can cause harm, and potentially in our careers we may suffer a lot because of our views. But at the same time, my opinion from my perspective is that we lost too much to care and to be afraid of some career diplomat in Brussels and his views. So we need to really own our narrative. We need to kind of show to the world who were the perpetrators who committed genocide, but also those who allowed it to be committed. And that should be our main goal, our main mission for the following decades.
Yeah, great points, great comparison as well. I hope that locals, politicians, and everyone who literally have the power and ability to decide on something, that they will think in a similar way. We have only 2 more weeks of having our High Representative here, and I hope that he is going to at least use his bonus authorities to put the law to suppress the genocide denial. Sedad, you have mentioned that should be really done for our future and the development, and actually for the confrontation of the past. Because what Ismail just said, international community held Nazis responsible until they actually faced what they have done. But we didn't felt the same amount of devotion to suppress any kind of genocide denial. We need to agree on the fact that the last stage of genocide is denial, and not only denial. We have here now trivialization, humiliation of victims, then even a reduction of scale, and even complete denial, as I said.
And if I can add one more point here.
Okay.
What many, unfortunately, EU officials are telling us in Bosnia is that, yes, the genocide happened, but you should still reconcile with those who committed genocide. I am not going to reconcile with those who committed genocide, especially because they do not want reconciliation. They need to change themselves. They need to change their approach. They need to change their politics before I can say, yes, let's work on reconciliation. You cannot tell us, please accept that the killers and rapists are all around you, live basically nearby your place, in your place, but you need to accept that, and you need to move forward. That's not the right approach. And again, we need to point finger to those who hold such views, because that's not something that they were fighting against in 1945. And in 2021, if it's that controversial to say, then unfortunately we are not on the same page.
Yeah. Okay, I can definitely understand what you are saying, and it is important to deal with, from victim side of perspective, to deal with trauma, and not just to go to the future, but holding the trauma, but from the these perpetrators side of the story, they need to accept it. It happened. Children who are being born now, they cannot be responsible for what happened 20 or 30 years ago. So that's why we need to work on general education, and to try to raise them in a different manner, that they are not responsible, but they really need to know the truth. And with the denial of what happened, they can never know the truth. So we cannot lose that track of coexistence, because they will never learn what happened and what kind of future is in front of us. Unfortunately, it would be, again, bad for us if we don't deal both sides with what happened in 1990s. I would like to hear from Sedad. He is a professor of law, and definitely Republika Srpska is a formal entity, and it's guaranteed by that constitution. So what is your opinion about this way, how it was constructed, and how how people are living there? Because recently it was a study where they show that almost 60% of people living in the Republika Srpska celebrate Radovan Karadzic and Ratko Mladic as their heroes. And we are the part of the same country. What is our way forward regarding the constitution, the laws, and what should we do to help to perpetrators to stop going in that genocidal direction, and the victims to stop feeling like they need to forcefully be in the side of reconciliation, and they need to show the first hand, and like they were guilty for something. Sedad.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
So,
Mhm.
what we will find as a result, whatever we say today, is that the genocide will happen again at the first moment when when the same origins find a situation that they can do it, they will repeat it. We have to be aware of it. About entity of Republic Srpska, we have situation as you and Ismail said before, that the international community asked from us that we have a reconciliation process and cooperation with Hitler, with Mussolini. It's the same, like we ask Jews to have cooperation, understanding of Goebbels, of Hitler, etc. And there is a huge responsibility of international community here when we are talking about constitutional position of Bosnia and Herzegovina, because before Dayton Agreement, Bosnia and Herzegovina has a constitution according to law. Constitution what provide that Bosnia and Herzegovina survive and the Bosnia and Herzegovina provide their existence from inside and from outside, because we had it was not possible to attack Bosnia and Herzegovina from inside its institutions. Now, after Dayton Agreement, what is a deal and result of international community, it is possible to attack Bosnia and Herzegovina from Bosnia and Herzegovina institutions.
Yeah.
Before, when we had the constitution of Bosnia and Herzegovina before Dayton Agreement, we could attack Bosnia and Herzegovina just from the hills, not from institutions. It is big difference what we all time have to remind when they said us, you know, it's your country, you have to make deal together, you live together, etc. Yes, we live together. And about Republika Srpska, there is a very important job what is doing Constitutional Court of Bosnia and Herzegovina about state property and about land, who is owner of the land, because the war is for land.
Yeah.
If there is a few very important decisions of Constitutional Court, what makes that decisions what are very clear that land belongs to the state of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So you can, your administration part call Republic Srpska, but your land belongs to the state. The way to realize that in practice is slow for us, but it is you know the changes in social process are slow. It's normal, but it is crucial and important that we have this kind of decisions from Constitutional Court when we are talking about Republic Srpska, because it is one in administration part of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And it is important to be politically active there and to use all instruments what we can find in law, in politics, in economy, in education, in international cooperation. It is the thing. We have to be active, proactive, not reactive. What we are, it is the law, politics, education, international cooperation, it is the way.
Yeah.
To be active, not reactive with that instruments.
Yes, definitely. Youth participation in political processes and all other processes are inevitable for any kind of change and progress. So we really need to empower our youth simply to be, as you said, proactively productive, not just to wait for a situation to happen and then to react. And the consequences are really big for us. I would like to ask Ismail, how is it important to nurture and yes, to nurture a culture of remembrance, especially when currently you do not live in Bosnia and Herzegovina? What's the situation in United States about that?
So these kind of events are an example how we should be doing, conducting such activities. It is important to be constantly present and persistent about this message, because here we are not talking about the consequences for those in Bosnia. Evil cannot be contained within borders. Evil inevitably spills over to other areas. So it is very, very important to mention such examples in our regular conversations. So the good thing here about the United States is that we have a significant presence of our diaspora, and in many cities, the commemoration events are taking place every single year. So, but again, those are public events. In private, we should be doing much more. And whenever we have an opportunity to talk with our international friends, we should use that opportunity to mention not only Bosnian genocide, but what is happening right now in China with Uyghur genocide and other unfortunate atrocities across the world. As I said, evil cannot be contained within borders. It inevitably spills over. And I'll give you two examples. Probably the majority of our audience will remember Andres Breivik, a terrorist from Norway who committed terrorist attack some 10 years ago. He was directly inspired by Radovan Karadzic and the Bosnian genocide. The terrorist attack in Christchurch in New Zealand, the perpetrator, Brenton Tarrant, was also motivated by Radovan Karadzic, Ratko Mladic, and the Bosnian genocide itself. So here, with these two examples, we see that evil inevitably spills over, and it grows pretty rapidly if we cannot contain it. So in order to counter such messages, in order to counter such narratives, we need to do much more. And again, these kind of events are a good example to what we should be doing and what other communities should be doing as well.
Yeah, definitely, you're definitely right. It cannot be held in the borders, because those are great examples, unfortunately, but great examples of how some evil that was born here actually had their own results all over the world. So evil, wherever it's happening, it's only a matter of time when it is going to come to other parts of the world. That's why we need to talk about all these stages of genocide and to try to tackle every phase of them wherever we see them. We, as you mentioned already, genocide in China. We need to do more internationally, more, just not to say for a few years, never again on the people, but things that they are surviving is genocide. And many more important than me said it is genocide. So we really need to try to learn from the past so we could develop and build a better future. If there is not any comments from you now, I would like, if you want to conclude something on this topic, your final remarks or your final thoughts. It's really a broad subject. And I know it's not enough time to discuss such important issue in only an hour, maybe. But if you would like to share something with our audience, with me, to discuss something, you're very welcome. Please just share the things that you think that people who are listening about Srebrenica genocide, atrocities and massacres that happened in Bosnia, not only in genocide, but as well in Prijedor, Vitez, my hometown, the place Ahmići, and anywhere in Bosnia. So please welcome and share with our international audience.
Sedad, would you like to start first?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So
Just like,
what we can remind all of us that genocide can happen in Brussels, in London, in
yeah,
uh, Lisbon, Paris, in every part of the world. If we are not aware of this, this, this problem, and what is important about genocide in Bosnia and Herzegovina is to, when we are talking about that, that it is confirmed by domestic and international courts. So it is not a speech and talk from some people, from some Bosniaks who are talking that somebody did genocide. No, it is a decision from the international courts. The International Court of Justice in the procedure of the lawsuit of Bosnia and Herzegovina against Serbia confirmed that genocide was committed in Srebrenica in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The Hague Tribunal has established in 6 verdicts that genocide was committed against the Bosnian population. Karadzic, president, gets 40 years, Ratko Mladic, chief of army, lifetime, Toliner, lifetime, Kristić, 35 years, Nikolic Rado, 35 years, Beara, chief of security, lifetime.
So it's 1 o'clock UK time, so
lifetime.
Bismillah,
Dozens
we
of
will
officers,
make
officers convicted of war crimes and crimes against humanity. So it's very important. Yeah. So in modern globalized war, the legal documentation of important events based on the principles of international law that are accepted and adopted as a valid in most countries in the world and in all recognized international courts is of special importance. So these court decisions is very important for saving civilization because civilization didn't stop genocide, even they could do it. The important question is why they didn't stop genocide if they can and they could do it. It happened because of anti-Islamic thinking in their heads, because it was thinking that they are killing some Muslims and it is okay if there is no, if it is not, if there are some non-Muslims, they wouldn't allow that something like that happen because our technique, even in that time, was very clear that they, in every moment, international community very well, they know what is happening there. So it's very important for us to be aware of that, to talk clear about that, and as a important message that core important message that it will happen again in first moment in genocide and raping. It's rape. There is raped 20,000 our mothers, sisters, daughters, etc. And they will do it again if they can do it. So the humanity, young people has to learn, to have knowledge, to have a capacity, to have understanding things, to have a communication, to use all instruments what they can find in social activities, NGO, politics, law, etc. And I'm very intentionally repeating, we have to be active in all these points, not to be reactive, to create communication, to create activities. If we are only reactive, somebody will prepare for us everything what we will do, and it will be problem. Thank you.
thank you very much. What about you, Ismail? Do you have any comments? Or, yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Sedad, for these remarks. I'll just add a few more. First of all, we cannot change the past, but what we can do is we can insist on the truth. We can own our narrative. And secondly, we cannot change the past, but we can learn from it. We must learn from it so we can avoid further and future atrocities, future genocides. And this is not only, as I'm saying, this is not only about Bosnian genocide. This is about many other places in the world, and all of us need to feel responsible for not doing enough, because obviously these kind of events, these kind of atrocities are still taking place. So what we can do is we can organize more of these events. We can discuss such topics with our peers, with our friends, and we can post something on social media so we can at least pressure our elected officials to change their approach, and hopefully we'll see a better future than our past.
Yeah, thank you, Ismail. It was a really great pleasure tonight for me to discuss with such amazing individuals about genocide that happened here in Bosnia from different perspectives. I am a firm believer in education, and I think that similar, like Gregory Stanton said, that ultimately the best antidote to genocide is popular education and development of social and cultural tolerance for diversity. I think it may sound naive when I say that education can totally eradicate all of the negative thoughts and layers of different kind of hatred that was put on some people, unfortunately children, and they grow older with such attitudes towards other people. But definitely, I do believe that if we force education, no matter what the channel is, I think that we can teach individuals, then groups, and then all societies that popular resistance to any kind of discrimination, of dehumanization, of hate can be stopped in the very beginnings, just simply using simple tools of communication with each other, with education of each other, and to start to develop a better future, not only in Bosnia, because as you said, Ismail, the evil never stays only in one. It is not, that is not going to go over the border. So we need to work for the whole world to teach about diversity, to teach about tolerance, and to practice tolerance and face diversity anywhere we can. So inshallah, hopefully we will prevent all kind of atrocities that are happening to people and genocides anywhere in the world. Thank you very much again for really inspirational communication, discussion, and argumentative dialogue. I want to thank everyone from the audience for listening to us tonight, for having interest in this topic about Bosnia, about Srebrenica, about situation during the war, but also about the situation now. Again, I want to thank to Sedad and İsmail for joining us and sharing expertise. Thanks everyone for listening, and see you in the next session.
Thank you, FEMYSO.
Thank you.